Happy New Year, everyone. This is Mike Fauché, and in today's video, I want to cover the LincPlus LincStation N1, a low-cost all-SSD NAS solution. Though this thing's been out for a while, the LincPlus LincStation N1 and the N2 represent a shift in home storage, moving away from hard drive arrays towards an all-flash design with power to run your Dockers, VMs, and your media server applications. This compact device is ideal for desk setups or small home offices where noise is a real concern. Stick around for the rest of this video to find out more about what this NAS has to offer, and please don't forget to like and subscribe if you find this video useful. Full disclosure, LincPlus did not sponsor this video, but they did send me this device free of charge to do this review. They've had no input in this video and they haven't seen the video before it was published. As I always do, the thoughts, opinions, and results are strictly my own. Despite its small footprint, the LincStation N1 offers a large array of connectivity options, including a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port for high-speed data transfer, USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 ports, HDMI 2.0 for direct play output, and built-in Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2. Under the hood, the LincStation N1 is powered by an Intel Celeron N5105 quad-core processor with 16 gigs of RAM, providing plenty of power for multitasking, Docker containers, real-time hardware transcoding, and high-speed file management. It supports 4 internal M.2 NVMe SSDs and 2 2.5-inch SATA SSDs. Before we get into the software and configuration, let's go through the hardware itself. In the box, you get a device, a power brick, a cord, some documentation, and a redemption code for the included Unraid license, as well as a screwdriver and some screws. Looking at the back of the unit, there's a 3.5mm audio port, an HDMI 2.0 port for direct video output, 2 USB Gen 2 Type A ports, the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, and the DC power input jack. On the front of the device, behind the flip-down front cover, are the two 2.5-inch removable SSD bays, LED drive indicator lights, and a USB Type-C port. Looking at the bottom, there are 2 toolless covers that reveal the NVMe slots for a total of 4 NVMe drives. The covers themselves act as heat sinks for the NVMe drives and come pre-installed with the thermal pads. As the NVMe drives are toolless, to install an NVMe, retract the spring-loaded lock and slide the drive into the slot and just lock it down. After you've loaded the drives, remove the blue protective film from the thermal pad that's located on the cover and then snap the cover back into place. The covers act as a heatsink. You can put up to 4 NVMe drives in these slots. Before we install the covers and set up and configure this device, I wanted to point out that in between these 2 NVMe slots is the USB flash drive that's needed to run Unraid. This will make more sense later in the video, but it's good to know that it's located here and easy to get to. To install the SATA drives, just remove the trays from the front and secure each SSD with the 4 screws, which are included. Once the drives are mounted in their trays, slide the trays back, push them in, and close the front cover. Now that we've installed the drives, let's connect the power adapter and network cable. Since this device features a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, make sure you got it connected to either a 2.5 gig switch or a 10 gig switch to maximize performance. If you don't have a 2.5 or 10 gig switch, it's backwards compatible with any 1 gig switch that you may have. You'll just be limited to the speed capable on the 1 gig switch. Give it a minute or so to boot once it's powered on, and from the browser on your computer, access the web interface by typing tower.local. Or you can use the device IP address if you know what it is. You'll be taken to the admin screen and you can create your admin password. The default username is root and it can't be changed, which is an Unraid thing. Click on Set Password and on the next screen you have some options. I recommend using the 30-day trial to test this out in the event that you need to redo your installation or setup, or you decide you want to run a different OS. Once everything is stable, you can redeem your included key. Go through the rest of the prompts and create your Unraid.net account and click on Submit to write the configuration and initialize the trial version. Before we continue, I wanted to mention that as the N1 is not a new unit, mine arrived with an old version of Unraid, which you'll want to upgrade right away. In addition, my particular unit arrived with a corrupted Unraid installation, that failed to recognize the internal USB configuration. As you may or may not know, Unraid boots entirely from a USB flash drive and does not install on an internal drive in the device. Fortunately, it's easy to get to the internal flash drive as it's conveniently located between the NVMe slots as we talked earlier in the video. I resolved this by pulling the drive, reformatting it, installing a new Unraid version 7, and that resolved the issue. This was unique to my unit, and you shouldn't have to do this, but it's good to know that you can, or if you have the issue, how to resolve it. Now that we're back at the main screen, we need to configure our storage pools. For the storage configuration, I personally find the Unraid's traditional array is way too slow, especially for an All-SSD setup. This is not an issue with the LincStation N1, but rather with Unraid. Though I love Unraid, I've run several Unraid servers in the past, and they've all been too slow using the traditional array. To saturate the 2.5 gigabit or higher connection and ensure consistent performance, you'll want to use the ZFS file system for both your NVMe and your SATA drives instead of the traditional Unraid array. You'll give up some flexibility, but you'll gain performance, so you'll have to decide which way is important to you. Before configuring the ZFS pool, you might want to address the frequent and annoying temperature warnings that are triggered by Unraid. With SSDs, Unraid often reports over-temperature alerts due to the default settings. To fix this, you'll want to fix both the disk defaults by going to Settings, Disk Settings, and changing the defaults. In addition, you'll also want to change the settings of each drive, as the drive defaults are often lower than the new defaults that you just set. To do this, just click on each drive, scroll down to the bottom under Smart Settings, and change the threshold and critical warning numbers that you want to use. Remember that SSDs don't behave like hard drives and will often have temperature swings, so the SSD controller will monitor and throttle the device on its own. Once these individual settings are updated, the false alerts will stop. Again, this has nothing to do with the N1 and an issue with Unraid itself. After you've created the pool, the temperature issue should stabilize. As this isn't an Unraid tutorial, I'm not going to go through every option of how to set up every array, so I'm going to jump right to the ZFS pool. To set up a ZFS pool, click on Add Pool and not the standard array that you would typically do under Unraid, and give it a name. Assign your drives to the pool. With ZFS, you'll want to make sure that all your drives are the same size, otherwise you will lose space. I used the NVMe location numbers to ensure that they were in the specific order that I wanted, but on ZFS it really doesn't matter what order that you select. If you don't have the option to use the same size drives, then you'll have to create a standard Unraid array and won't be able to use ZFS. Once assigned, it's crucial to click on the pool name and change the file system to ZFS, as ZFS is not the default. If you skip this, the pool will be formatted as a traditional file system, and you'll miss out on the speed, redundancy, and the benefits of ZFS. I used a RAID Z1 profile, which provides one drive of redundancy and 2 drives for storage in my particular case. Hit apply and you'll be prompted to format the drives to finalize the pool. As I mentioned, though ZFS is faster, it's less flexible than a standard Unraid array, so expansion requires adding the drives of the same size, or replacing all the drives one by one to expand the storage, similar to the limitations you would run into in a standard hardware RAID array. To highlight using the N1, comparing a traditional Unraid array to the ZFS pool reveals a significant performance gap. While the traditional array starts with decent speeds, it quickly throttles to about 97 megabytes per second. For a system equipped with NVMe drives and a 2.5 gigabit network, this is really bad performance. If you're limited to a 1 gig switch, the traditional array is sufficient and easier to configure. However, if you want to fully saturate your 2.5 gigabit bandwidth or 10 gigabit in the case of the N2, switching to ZFS is essential to extract the maximum performance from your hardware. Again, this is a limitation of Unraid, not the LincStation. So while you're going through your setup, consider your current performance requirements and your future storage needs carefully before finalizing your setup. Feel free to put any questions or comments below if you're looking for any recommendations on your particular storage requirements. So overall, I was really impressed with the LincStation. It's fast, it's ultra quiet, and has enough storage for most users. The N1 includes a pre-installed Unraid license, providing a great platform for deploying apps like Plex, Home Assistant, or Pi-hole. The N1 is an excellent device and can be had for a pretty low price. If you need performance, then the N2 is physically the same unit, but offers a faster CPU and a 10 gigabit network port. I'll leave links to both of these devices should you want to check these out. Anyway, that's about it for today's video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and post any questions and comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.